Now 9 o'clock, and you are listening to Real Talk with Brooke and Monisha. I almost said Brooke and Ashley, like I don't remember my name.
The Brooke and Ashley show.
Right. And tonight we have, pronounce your name because I'm going to say it wrong.
It's Charlton.
Charlton.
But I go by Brad. Charlton Bradford.
There you
Jefferson.
go.
Brad, Charlton, either way.
There you go.
Not
Of the 100 Black Men of Savannah. And this sounds like our phone call that we've been waiting for, so hold on. Okay, Anthony, I'm going to test you out. Hold on just a second. Anthony, can you hear me? Oh, wait. Turn off Alex's. Anthony. Okay, I gotta work on this because I'm terrible with this phone thing. But we're trying to phone Anthony Maben Jr. in the studio as well. We're going to be interviewing these two gentlemen tonight with the 100 Black Men of Savannah is the organization they're both part of, aside from everything that they're separately a part of.
Which is a lot.
Right, a lot. But these are two of my favorite community activists. Anytime I'm out, I see them, and I know it's going to be a great time. The kids in the community are going to be serviced to the highest level. So just tell the people about what you do.
Well, first, I don't know if community activist is the right title. I think it's just we do what we have to do or what we're supposed to do. You know, we give back a lot of time. We mentor. The 100 Black Men is one platform that we can use to mentor, but also right now I'm a GRTC instructor at Windsor Forest High School, so I get a lot of interaction with the kids there. And I will tell you, it's just a matter of us doing what we're supposed to do or what we should do.
Right. I want to say you're a community activist, you're a youth activist, all of that, because you impact the future and you show them how it is, what it means to be a successful Black man in Savannah, to be a upstanding family man, and to love everyone around you. Let me see, because I don't want to get that deep yet. But I'm going to ask you some things. I don't want to get that deep yet. But give us a little bit of background about the 100 Black Men of Savannah and how you got involved.
Okay, well, initially I'm from Ridgeville, South Carolina. That's about 2 hours away from here. Mm-hmm. And I was in the Army. I got stationed at Hunter Army Airfield. And it was a young lady in my unit. And I can't remember the conversation. I don't know what led us to this conversation. But I know she said her son was having some issues. And she wanted him to be around some good male role models. Mm-hmm. And she said, I'm going to take him down to this event that the 100 Black Men of Savannah is having. And at the time, I had no clue what that was. And I was like, well, if it's something, because I had a lot of respect for this young lady. And I said, if this is something that she wants to take her son around, and she wants these men to influence her son, this is something I should look into. Right. And from that point on, I went to one of the events they were having, just kind of asked some questions. And I said, you know what? This is something I want to do. This is something I want to be a part of. Because I just feel like at one point in our life, when you get to a certain point, you have to start giving back. You say, you know what? I've done so much. I've been blessed, or I've been lucky, however you want to put it. But you do have to start giving back. You say, you know what? I've enjoyed this stuff, and let others learn from me, especially from my mistakes. Learn from my mistakes, do better, and be better than me in half the time.
I really like that answer.
A lot.
So, how did you get involved in the school system?
Okay, again, while I was at Hunter, I think it was one of the, what school was it? Oh, it was Benedictine, their baseball team. They had like a real bad season, and their colonel said, I want them to learn some teamwork. So he brought them to Hunter, and he put them on the obstacle course. We took those kids out there, taught them how to, do some teamwork and, some teamwork and tasks so they could understand that it's not just me. I can go out there and hit all the home runs in the world, but if I don't set up my battle buddy or my friend to make it on first base, then I'll be hitting home runs, but they'll end up walking me. Right. So we had a real great time teaching them teamwork, and the colonel said, you got any plans on what you're going to do after you get out of the military? At the time, I thought I was going to be a lifer. I thought I was going to stay in forever. But he said, there's an ROTC program, and the only thing you do is, we teach young people how to be better citizens. And I was like, oh man, you take that with what I just heard about the 100 black men in Savannah.
Right.
I'm like, hey, this is me.
That's what's
And I just fell in love with Savannah. It was a no-brainer. I said, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to give back. And at the time, I didn't know anything negative about Savannah. All I knew was River Street and St. Patrick's Day and party,
Yes,
So,
party. I don't know what's going on with
check
the
it
air. Right. Yes, please do. Because I'm not sure what's going on over there. It's normally cold in here. At least in me.
now watch, I'll be cold later. I have to put that back on.
It's all good. So tell us about your time in the military, because we often get people in here who've had military background, or a lot of our Facebook friends are in the military, Navy, Army, Marines. So.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's a funny story. I have a uncle, and my uncle, during Desert Storm time frame, I was still in high school, and at first my whole thing is I wanted to be a lawyer. I was so wrapped up with Chuck D and Public Enemy, and I was just fight the power, and at the time, I was like, I'll never go in the Army, I'll never go in the military, because I was just, but when Desert Storm kicked off, my uncle, he had to go, and I was maybe 9th grade, 10th grade, can't even remember, but my aunt asked me if I wanted to go with her to see him off. Mm-hmm. So going to see him off and seeing him get on that bus, knowing he was getting ready to go to war, I was nervous, and so was she, but he got on the bus and all his troops were like young guys, and they were pumped up, they were screaming, oh, we're going to go over there, we're going to kick Saddam, we're going to do this, and I was like, man, but my uncle stood up in the midst of all these people yelling and screaming, and everybody got quiet, and he said, we have a lot of great weapons, but the greatest weapon, and he tapped on his temple.
Right.
He said, it's your mind. And everybody got quiet. And you imagine, freshman in high school, I'm looking at him like, that's what I want to do.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Oh, it's real cool right there.
And from that point on, I was just like, you know what? I want to go in the military. Signed up at 17. I didn't even get a chance to go on my senior trip.
Really?
Yep. I had to go to basic training.
You were serious.
Yeah. I loved it. And 22 years later, I tell people all the time, I've been on every continent on this earth in a military uniform, seen a lot, met a lot of people. The biggest thing is, I just learned not to take life for granted.
That's what's up. I like that motto, and I think that's really important. And I'm gonna ask you some background about the military too, but I think that story right there, the travel portion, I think that's so important for a lot of our young people to hear when they talk about getting into the armed forces or whatever they decide to do, because you're from Ridgeland, and I know what Ridgeland looks like.
actually Ridgeville.
Ridgeville.
Yeah,
okay.
it's like 2 hours from here, and it's super country.
Right.
It's the country.
Because Ridgeland is country, so I can only imagine what Ridgeville is.
Yeah.
So to talk about being in the country and then going to see the world, traveling on every continent, that's major for a lot of people, and at no cost.
Exactly. And I mean, seeing some of the things I saw and interacting with people. I had a conversation with a young guy the other day, and he was adamant about, we don't need to be in America. We need to get our money and go to Africa and, live. And I said, well, I've been to Africa. I've been to Egypt. And I spoke to some real Africans. And you would be surprised at how they view us, American Africans. It's totally different. It's not like, they look at us like, oh, you're my brother. It's a lot of hostility. And I was trying to tell the young guy, you really need to do your research before you just jump off and do something. And that's one of the advantages. I mean, Egypt, of course, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Germany. I mean, love it.
How was Egypt? I've heard good party stories about
Egypt. Egypt was beautiful. It was beautiful. I don't want to get myself in trouble, but the women, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Well, you just giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah,
Right,
nothing like what at that time what I saw on TV. You know, you see the feed the children, and you thinking it's no. Over there, the women look like they walked off somebody's magazine cover.
Really?
I mean, court, you just like.
I'm gonna have to start.
We gotta get our Egyptian on. You goes.
Right. So, going back to the military, you highlighted the positive sides. What about some of the negative sides, especially being a black man in the military? Because we talked about a little bit of this the last week for Memorial Day, giving some background about Memorial Day and a lot of the black soldiers who were not honored until like 50 years after their death. You know, and it was really only because of skin color. So tell us about some of the things that you encountered.
Now, a lot of the things I dealt with that I wasn't too fond of is the military is built on a rank structure, and you can look at somebody's uniform and automatically you know what position they're in. It's one of the only places in the world, like you can walk into a building and you not know that you're talking to the CEO, but in the military you know exactly who you're talking to by their uniform, and I think that's a good thing. But people will look at you and look at your rank and assume you have a certain level of intelligence. And that would always get under my skin, especially, it could just be in my mind, but especially being African American. I always felt like I had to open my mouth and prove to people how smart I was, or how I wasn't ignorant, or how I wasn't the stereotypical type, or what they thought a young African American male was. So that was one of the most difficult things. I always felt like every time I go someplace new or I meet people, I had to prove myself.
Right.
Because they're looking at what's on my collar, you know, well nowadays what's on my chest. And it doesn't, well now they have a lot of sensitivity training. They have a lot of training where they want you to treat people as individuals. But you have to realize that just came about the last couple of years when I was on my way out. So I didn't get a chance to experience that. So things may be different now.
Right.
But when I was in there, I mean, you had a lot of African Americans that was on the enlisted side, meaning we joined without going to college, you know, without, you know, getting a commission and without, you know, becoming an officer. So it was kind of difficult. It was very difficult, I mean, to be honest.
Right. I'm trying to really hold off on this question because it's real deep, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask it. So fast forward to JROTC and ROTC in high school. You're dealing with a lot of these young black boys, you know, who are, especially in Savannah, plagued with violence and many negative statistics and stereotypes. The night, like my second time seeing you or something that, we were at an event, and during the event, there was a young man who was killed at McDonald's on Abercorn.
Yeah.
And a lot of your students went to school with him, and you teach at the school. Tell me about how you handled that experience as a teacher, as a community activist, and what your students experienced.
Now, that young man, that night is so. That Friday, before we got out over the weekend, he was a part of the JRTC program. So he was actually in my class. And that Friday, I was actually getting on him. I was actually fussing at him.
Oh, and let me interrupt you real quick. For those listening and watching, we're talking about George Walker Jr. George Atkins.
Yep.
George Atkins Jr., the 15-year-old that was killed at McDonald's.
Yeah. It was that Friday, before we got out for the weekend, I remember telling him, hey, you know, you're better than this. Stop acting up. And it wasn't even, it was nothing that serious to even, you know, referral or any detention. It was just one of those things he might have been clowning around and joking. I can't remember what it was. But I remember telling him, you're better than that. Don't act that way. And like you said, that Saturday we had the event. And that Saturday night I left the event and I was coming home and I saw the lights at McDonald's. And I was like, man, what's going on now? And I saw some young girl and she was filming it live and she was like, oh, somebody got shot. I was like, you know what? No big deal. By the time I got home, I saw something, a couple of teachers had posted some stuff and said some things, and I was like, that can't be one of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Went to sleep, woke up early the next morning, and I saw it on my phone. And I was like, this is so unreal, because I'm like, you never expect that to happen. You never expect a young kid to, you expect to see him Friday, and then you expect to see him Monday. And they tell you about your weekend, you tell them about your weekend. But it was one of the hardest things I had to deal with, because, coming to school, and the reason why I got with the 100 Black Minister Man, and the reason why I got with JRTC is, like I said, I just want these kids to do better and be better in half the time. And at some point, the first thing I thought, well, what did you do, or what didn't you do, or could you have prevented that? And, we always beat ourselves up.
Yeah.
We always say, well, if you would have just took 2 minutes and said, hey, don't do this, don't get in trouble, would that have made a difference? And that was one of the toughest things I dealt with since being in the school. Well, since my life period, because being in the military, we expect certain things to happen. We know we go to war, we go downrange, certain things can happen, and we prepare for that. But you're not prepared for a 15-year-old kid to not come to school ever again, and to address the other kids and try to explain to them what's going on.
Right.
I mean, as adults, we have a hard time,
processing death.
Yeah, so but yeah, that was a very, very tough night. But at the same time, it also kind of let me know that, hey, you need to do something. You need to keep doing what you're doing, even if it's one or two people. Even if you use this incident and say, hey, look, don't let his death be in vain.
Right.
Go out there and do something better and be better.
Mm-hmm.
Use that to motivate you. So that's where I am today. Yeah, I wasn't got me on that one. I wasn't prepared for that.
I was trying to wait for it.
Yeah, George was he was a real good kid, real good kid. Oh, I know what it was too. I know what I was getting on him about, and this is even funnier. It's not funny, but it is funny. He used the N-word, and I can't stand it. I can't stand the N-word. And I told him, I said, you're better than that. Quit using that word. But yeah.
And I think that was like the fuel to the fire that a lot of people then started wanting to be more involved in the youth and trying to curb that violence, because that all I kept hearing was he was a really good kid.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even the intended target. It was somebody else, and he just happened to be caught in the crossfires. So that right there, that struck a match under a lot of people's feet. Necessarily so, because like I said, when I go out, I see you everywhere, but it's like you just keep seeing the same people. It's a lot of work to be done in the city.
It is. It is.
So when you have more troops on the ground, it's so helpful.
Yeah.
We need more people involved in this. That's right. One man can change the world. Samantha Gordon.
Yeah, that's my cousin.
What's up, cuz?
She's a sweetheart.
And then Miriam said hello as well. She's also someone I see out in the community as well.
She's super,
Mm-hmm.
I was telling somebody, matter of fact, we had a meeting on Tuesday, and her name came up. Because she is always someplace, always doing something. So.
Always. But we need that, and we definitely need it for our young black males. Not saying anything against the girls that they don't need that much. I think they need just as much.
There's so much people that's hoping these kids really lose.
Right.
And I hate to say it, but it's the problem is so huge. I mean, from the music they listen to, from the stuff that they just indulge in. And don't get me wrong, because I like some music. When I go to the gym and work out, I like something to get me pumped up.
You got the Millie Rock down pat.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. Matter of fact, the kids taught me how to do that.
They caught you one day.
Yeah, they did. That's the thing. Everybody has a phone. Everybody records everything. You got to be so careful. But it's true. And I tell them all the time, some people are hoping you lose. Make their job harder. If somebody wakes up in the morning and say, I'm feeding my family off so many kids getting arrested and going to jail this year, make it hard for them.
That's so real.
It is. It really is. And people don't want to admit that. They don't want to say, why do you think we have so many new prisons being built as opposed to community centers or rec centers or something that'll give these kids something to do? Because there's no money in that. It's not.
Again. Say it again.
You know, and I hate to be that way. I hate for it to come down to dollars and cents, but the reality is,
that's what it is.
I mean, and I always tell people, as a matter of fact, I was talking to my daughter today, I was saying, you know, don't let money motivate you, but at the same time, we needed to live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, we all needed to live, but don't let that be your motivation to get up in the morning. Because if you think about it, 8 hours a day, if you give somebody 8 hours a day, you're never going to get that 8 hours back, no matter what you do. I tell people all the time, waste my money before you waste my time.
Hello, say it again.
I mean, I can get more money.
Look, in the words of Sanders, time is the one thing in this world you cannot get back. Don't waste it.
You can't.
Now, I did want to hit on something from a soldier's perspective, especially being in the places you've been. How do you feel about, and I know we talk about this all the time, PTSD in regards to our young black boys in the community being subjected to extreme violence on a daily basis, you know, living in violent environments, being involved in violent situations, whether it's at home, at school, with your peers. There's a certain level of shock that they endure as young children opposed to other races that would never have those issues, you know? So how accurate do you think that is?
I think you're spot on. I think it couldn't be more true, because if you look at some of the kids and some of the stuff they see, and how sometimes they get so used to it, it doesn't even bother them. But it does bother them. Yeah. It's just they're having a hard time processing it. You know, we had a kid. I was talking to a kid one day, and I'm a sneakerhead. I love sneakers, and we were talking about sneakers, and you know, I was like, hey, you know what? And he said, you know, this my cousin, female, she got these Jordan 12s, and I said, oh yeah, those are masters. I love mine. And I was talking to her, and she said, oh yeah, I like these shoes, but when I leave here, I have to put them in my backpack and put on some other shoes, because when I walk across town, somebody will try to take them from me, and they don't even realize what they're doing just to survive. That's something mentally that subconsciously she's not even thinking about, but she's doing what she needs to do to survive. Mm-hmm. At that young of an age, that shouldn't be your thought process. You shouldn't be thinking about that, because if you're thinking about that at 14 and 15, how? At what point do you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go off into the world. I'm going to go to a bigger city. I'm going to go places elsewhere, and I'm going to still have to use that mentality. Mm-hmm. But use that at the appropriate time. 14 is not when you should be thinking about that. Yeah. And I know I'm, like I said, from Ridgeville. I'm the country boy, you know. But let kids be kids, and we don't do that. You know, with the policing, the way they interact with the police. You should hear some of the things the kids say about police. Oh, I don't trust the police, or I don't talk to the police. I mean, why do you feel that way? Because every time I see them, they're asking me what I'm doing. They're harassing me. They're approaching me, and I'm like, there's a lot of truth in that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to lie to them and say, well, that's not all cops. Well, it's not all cops, but that's all they see. Mm-hmm. They don't see, you know, the guy in Bradley Point South that when I'm out getting the mail, he stops and waves his hand and we start talking about, you know, the NBA Finals or something. They don't see that. Mm-hmm. All they see is somebody saying, what you doing? What are you out? I mean, what are you out this late for? I mean, there's no interaction. Mm-hmm. And I think they just need more of that. I mean, I get it. You know, they have some of the toughest jobs. I won't take that away from them. But you got to treat people as individuals. Yeah. You got to get to know people. You know, we got to get past, you know, what we see. Because there's some days I'm leaving the gym and I got my do-rag on, I got my hat pulled down, I got a hoodie, and I'm like, hey, you need to step lightly. Mm-hmm. Because the sun's going down, you know, you get pulled over. Let's hope I don't have a bad day. Let's hope I don't get snappy with an officer. But I'm 43. I can deal with that. But we're talking about 14, 15, 16-year-old kids that have to deal with that now. I think the PTSD for them is real. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see it as they get older. As a matter of fact, and I'll bring something else up. When I first got into the school system, I was introduced to a young lady. I can't remember her name. But she was diagnosed with PTSD, and it was because she got bullied.
Really?
She got bullied, and they said, you know what?
How early on?
I think she had already graduated from school.
Okay.
And they diagnosed her with PTSD, and they said it was from bullying.
Wow.
And she was a Caucasian. And I said, so we're quick to pick that up.
Right.
And quick to identify that. And quick to say, okay, let's pour some resources in that.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody has stopped to say, well, maybe the reason why little Brad is doing what he's doing because of what he sees every day in the neighborhood. I mean, that's and again, I'm just being honest.
Well, there's data to back that up.
Yeah.
But you know what? That subconscious thing is so real. You don't even realize your defense mechanisms you're putting up on a daily basis. Just y'all gonna get tired of me talking about Trey, but hey, he's mine. Right? I have a 3-year-old. He's obsessed with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Okay, he thinks it's real life. So he has this little, slightly realistic looking little play gun. And he ran outside with it the other day. You know, we live in East Savannah, so there's police riding around all the time. And the first thing I thought was, get that gun back in the house.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it till just now when you mentioned that.
Yeah.
That just those reflexes we have without even thinking, that defense mechanism pops up. You know, black kids are getting shot. Black children are getting questioned by police.
Exactly.
Like, without parents present. That it's unacceptable. So, you know, before I risk my child getting shot down for this fake gun, I'd rather put it in the house. I shouldn't have to think like that about a 3-year-old.
That should be the last thing you should be thinking about right now.
Exactly.
But the reality is we have to do that. We have to have these conversations. We have to have these talks. And we got to be careful.
Yeah. It's 9:30. So tell us about who else you work with and what else you do in Savannah.
Well, I'll be honest that with the JROTC and with the 100 Black Men in Savannah, that takes up so much of my time. And Mr. Maben, did we get him back on the phone?
We're about to now.
He is now. Like I said earlier, when you think you have a lot on your plate, and then you see other people, such as you two, you like, wow, am I really doing enough? Do I need to do more? But the biggest thing is, and I had somebody else had to tell me, you know.
Yeah, I do. It's a doubt.
I'm sorry.
Do what you can do, but at the same time, make sure that you make a little time to relax, catch your breath, and keep running, because you got to enjoy life too.
Yeah. You can't get so burnt. I mean, helping others is amazing, and it gives you an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
Just knowing that you're able to reach someone. But you do have to find that balance where you're able to enjoy yourself as well.
Yeah.
You can't burn yourself out, because you will very quickly.
Yeah.
All right, so we're ringing. Hello.
We're trying to turn him up in the studio now.
Oh, he's up. He's good.
Oh, but we can't hear him.
Put your headphones on.
Wait, because I want everybody to hear him, so he can be on camera too. Do you have to, like, I don't know. See, we're so terrible at being technicians.
Neither of us majored in mass communication.
Right.
Hey, I
we're
can't
terrible
help you
at
with that.
this. Oh, that's me. Sharing. Is he up in the studio now?
Yeah, he's on.
In the studio, though. Do we have to unplug this? Try it. Hello? Okay, so that wasn't it. Oh, wait, no, that's not it either. No, it has to be one of these program buttons. Well, you can ask him the questions.
And just relay it.
Right, that's it.
I have the outline.
Huh? Oh, wait. Hey, Anthony. How are you?
All right, we're here. We've got Anthony on. I'm the only one who can hear you in the studio.
Yeah, we're working on that. Oh, that's the head.
All right, so basically, Anthony's another member of 100 Black Men in Savannah. Thank you for everything that you do, first and foremost. Brad, he says, a pleasure working alongside you.
Hey, tell him. Can you hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you.
Oh,
Can you hear him?
well,
Yeah, he can hear you.
okay, I feed off of his energy. It's like iron sharpens iron. You know, he's way more vocal than I am. You know, sometimes something will happen, and I'm thinking it, but he says it. He puts it out there. He, like my mom used to say, he don't hold no water. You know? He gonna tell you.
And that is funny because that's exactly what we're going to talk about with him. But I'm going to tell you a quick joke before we start on his interview. So we had already had him scheduled, and when I saw you the other night, I was like, oh, that'd be dope, have 200 black men in Savannah. So I was like, well, let me give him a heads up and ask him if it's okay. So I said, hey, you know, I ran Charlton last night. Is it cool if we interview both of y'all? He was like, no, I don't get along with Brad. I wish you would have told me about this. Then he was like, he's an upstanding family man and a great community leader. You know, of course.
Yeah. We've been working side by side for these last couple of years, so.
That's what's up.
Yeah, he's a good guy, real good guy.
That's what's up. So, Anthony, we're going to go ahead and get into your portion of the interview. We want to ask you...
Your portion, yes, sir.
Listen, yes, you the lead of the hour right now. So, you've been active in the community for a while now. What is it that you are wishing to achieve? What's your end game?
Absolutely. And that's important. And that's what we were saying with Charlton earlier. How important just image is. Just seeing a positive image of a black male for these young black males so that they can see something to strive for, you know, because they make, yeah. And we talk about entrepreneurship all the time. The important, you know, instead of, in our generation, we were pushed to believe, you know, we weren't going to be successful if we didn't go to college and get a degree. And I wish, you know, we wish that rather than being pushed towards college and pushed towards these loans that we may never pay off, we were given the opportunity to, you took me off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We were given the opportunity to invest in ourselves and cultivate some of those natural talents we have within to get out here and get this money. Absolutely.
I'm looking for it. Is it plugged in?
Absolutely. But how, you know, how do we get the youth interested in themselves? How do we get them interested in that entrepreneurship? In, you know, giving back to their communities, because ultimately these are the same communities that are going to raise their kids someday. Absolutely. You took them off.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, shit, go there.
Absolutely. Now I'm a pause right there and tell, because that was really powerful, and I want to give the two of you an opportunity to piggyback off of that. So, what is it that Black people need to do? Actually, it feeds right into our next question. And Anthony says, instilling Black pride, bringing parents back as the role models, because right now role models are determined by the acquisition of stock. You see these people having all these nice things and you want that. We need to bring the parents back as the tutors, the role models, and just the local leadership for our community.
Totally agree. I totally agree. But the thing is, it's, and not to make an excuse, but it's so tough. It's so hard to compete with Lil Uzi Vert or the Migos when these kids see the jewelry and the nice cars and the nice clothes. But all we can do is put forth the effort, because we have to let them know that's not true happiness. That's material things. That's fine. That's dandy. I mean, everybody can indulge in that and they can get a sense of satisfaction from that. But that's not what life is about. And it takes a lot of talking to. It takes a lot of showing. You have to take kids out of the element that they're in and show them things that'll bring them joy. And that's such a hard job.
Yeah.
It's so hard when, in some of their mind, they think, a nice car, a nice chain, a little bit of money in your pocket, now I'm successful. And that's not reality. That's not, success is happiness. And what a lot of young people don't realize, they don't even know what makes them happy.
Right.
Right.
And that's what we got to talk. We got to sit them down. We got to teach them. We got to find out what motivates them. It's a tough job, but it is. It is. Parents have to be more involved. My mom, and I'll talk about my mom forever, but my mom taught me so much and showed me so much, and she did so much. And it took a minute. It wasn't, when she was teaching me lessons and she was showing me things, it wasn't that I got it right then and there, but the older I got, the more it made sense. And you two young ladies, because, my parents got divorced when I was 5. And there was a lot of times when I knew, my mom was like, boy, this boy ain't never gonna get it. And y'all might even say that now.
I've said this before.
But I promise you, sooner than later, they're gonna look up and they're gonna say, Mom, thank you. You've shown me what I need to do and what I need to be. And people always say, oh, a woman can't raise a boy or whatever. And that, in some perspectives, that's true. But it taught me how to treat a woman. It taught me what kind of man to be. It taught me to protect and provide. And we do, as parents, we need to do that. I never told my daughter what kind of boyfriend she should bring home. I never told my daughter how I'm going to treat her mother, my wife. I showed her. I plain and simple. And it's not going to happen right away. It's not going to happen overnight. You just got to be, every day you got to be constant. Every day you got to do it, that consistency. And when they see that, they'll learn from that. Subconsciously, they'll learn from that. But yeah, Anthony is right. He is. It's us, the parents. The first people they see in the morning when they wake up and the last people they see before they go to sleep, that should be their role models.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if dad is working a 9 to 5 and dad can only afford, a jalopy. That shouldn't matter. It should matter that dad is out here doing something legal to provide for his family.
Right.
What more? How can you not respect that? You know, I tell people all the time, don't respect the man that give you $100 if he got $1 million. Respect the dude that give you $10 if all he has is 15, because he cares about you. But yeah, Anthony, right? He's parents. We got to do it. We do.
All right. So some would say that you want to start a revolution, Anthony. Is this true?
That's the answer we need to hear.
Right. Right. Listen.
Look, he didn't try to deny it. It's like I do. I love it.
Yes.
I'll tell you, he says it.
Uh-oh, she writing it down. The radio.
Oh, so okay. You find anything about how to do it? I can't find nothing.
I found that this board was built in 1980. That's so sweet.
I graduated elementary school in 87.
I was born in 88. Well.
That's so powerful.
Reverend consciousness. Okay. He said he would like to be a reverend of consciousness. Consciousness.
Yeah, he's so deep.
Mm.
He is.
All day.
Yeah.
Day. Educational revolution and resistance.
Hey, I'm for everything you just said. It's an educational revolution, revolution of resistance, a revolution of consciousness. Just, we can't even call our communities, their neighborhoods, because we don't have a stake in them ultimately. We can go, everything in our neighborhoods are detrimental to us. The liquor stores,
Absolutely.
etc. We can go walk down the street and get a 40 ounce, but we can't go around the corner and get our mom medicine. So, bringing that consciousness back.
But we've said that before about how everything in the black community is built to pacify us. You got a liquor store and a church on every corner. They're either trying to make you forget about your sorrows or accept them and just pray, that you can deal with it. There's nothing to say, here's an opportunity to get out of your situation.
Yeah.
Black economics in the black community is pretty much non-existent.
Yeah.
Education is extremely poor. But you got that. Now we're pipelining the prison again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the neighborhood. That's why the neighborhood value in black community, not the neighborhood value, the property values in black communities are so low, so that they don't have this is an excuse to not fund these schools.
Yeah.
So now they don't have the books that other children, they don't have the resources that other children have access to be successful.
And you know what it's gonna take, and the solution sounds so much easier than what it really is. We're gonna have to educate some people from our community to go out and make it financially and come back and pour all that money, because nobody else is going to do it.
I would expand that further into just pouring money into it. I would say provide the tools to teach them how to get that same opportunity as well. Because I said that before. I'm like, I'm not going to give you fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish.
Exactly.
You know, because everybody got an equal opportunity to go out there and get it. Period.
We have the same 24 hours.
Yeah. So I'm going to teach you how to get it.
Yeah.
So that way, you know, the next person can get it and the next person get it. Because I was watching that Explained documentary on Netflix, and they were talking about how black, you know, the disparity in black wealth and white wealth, and like black wealth is at 17,000 versus white wealth at 171,000, and that gap is getting larger and larger because black wealth is steadily decreasing. They said one of the reasons is that because you have white families where one person goes to college and gets their money, you know, and not to say that they're not as charitable, but they don't have to give back to their families and their community like black people do, because they're probably the only one out of that entire family who's making that level of income, and now they have to take care of everybody else around them, or they feel compelled to do so. So they're not retaining their wealth.
Yeah. Now, I saw something last week, maybe this week, and you never too old to learn. And this guy said something about solipsistic thinking, where when you think one thing, no matter what, you just feel like that's right, and can't nobody tell you it's not. And there's some core values I'm always gonna have that you can never tell me it's wrong. But you know, I never want to be like that. I never want to be so caught up that, okay, what I think is right. Somebody said to me the other day, they was like, why do we kick our kids out of our home so fast?
So fast.
And it took me back, because I'm like, wait, hold up. And I had to listen, and I'm like, am I guilty of this? Do I say, a man at 18, either you in college, in the military, got a job, but you out my house? Why not say, hey, son, stay here as long as you need to, stack your cash, get your education, do one less thing for you to worry about.
Right.
And it took me back. I was like, man, this guy is, and he was way younger than us. This was a young guy talking, and I was like, man, you know, you're right. Let's stop that. Let's stop saying, hey, at 18, you gotta go. You gotta go.
But yeah, we see other ethnicities. You know, Indian families, I know some personally, and they encourage their children to stay until marriage. Like, until you have a stable platform, you're not going to go. I'm not going to put you out here on your own.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our parents telling us, literally, my mom, when I graduated, she was just convinced I was never going to college, and I was just going to give up on life completely. For some reason. I was wild. We all go through our things.
Teenagers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and she was like, all right, if you're not going to go to college, then you need to join the police force, or you need to join the fight. I was like a firefighter. Like, I'm not going to... Excuse me? I risk my life to save one?
Yeah. It is, but we have to get away from that. We have to be more mindful, and we have to learn that even though we may have it tough coming up, let's not put that on our kids. It's wrong for me to say, oh, well, you know what, Nicole? I made it. You can do it just like me. Now get out. No, don't do that. Give her every opportunity, every tool that she needs to be successful, and say, you know what, even if I have to sacrifice and make it better for her, instill in her to say, hey, once you get to this point, you give back. Right. Because a lot of us want to be that person that do it. We don't have to be that person to do it. I don't have to be the person that get all the kudos. I don't have to be the person that, you know, invent the cure for cancer. But if I can motivate 3 or 4 people, and they motivate 4 or 5 people, and they motivate 6 or 7 people, I may be dead and gone. But they may say, you know what? It was an old guy that told me, you know, wake up every morning, be on time, and don't slack. And now guess what? We got a cure for cancer and AIDS.
Boom. Right.
You know, you don't have to be that person. Just put other people in position to do that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
All right, now we're running low on time. So there are a couple of very interesting questions here that I have to get Anthony to answer for me. In your Facebook post, you always talk about black women. Do you not like white women?
I wish I could hear that. I would love to hear. I would love to hear his response.
He laughed.
Well, I mean, the moment is gone, but I would.
He just laughed.
Yeah.
I heard that part. Yeah. Women have been chosen to populate and recruit.
He loves all women.
Yeah, I can hear that.
I don't know why I didn't think about this. Did not even think about that.
Black women. And if you listen to music or you listen on reality shows, you'll see that there is a deliberate attack on the assassination of the character of the black woman.
Yes.
So
Say it.
I try to do everything I can to uplift the black woman because they're the most precious creature on the planet. So, I speak of black
You can
women a
hold
lot.
I mean, the ring.
Can you hear them still?
Not anymore.
Like a black woman does. You can listen to country music or whatever.
That's true.
White music all day.
Mm-hmm.
You hear no degradation of white women.
That's
The
true.
rap, the R&B, all you hear talk about is bitches and hoes and what they do on the black women. Like they don't have money. Like we were raised by black women. So it's important that you have a black woman in your life. Because she was thinking black women are overbearing. Black women are not overbearing. Black women will not let you fail.
Mm-hmm.
If you slack it off your job,
Mm-hmm.
you go out here and you got both a black woman will call you out. There's time. Sometimes it's so searching to a degree where they'll go down a black woman might be the other woman who wants a man to lead in most cases. But doggone, you gotta be a leader. So people kill me when they say black women are overbearing. That black women have always been by the black man's side. Don't you know that once a black woman was in there cleaning after house, from after everything, she stayed up at 3 o'clock at the time of the morning, cooking for her children, her husband. So, the black man sucked on the black woman's bread when he didn't have anything to eat. The black woman has always been our closest ally. So I praise them. I thank them. I love them.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything.
As she should be, because like you said, black women are a black male's first teacher. You know, their first caregivers. So where does the level of disrespect come from?
N-word up there.
There's a lot of stuff. I think I said that one night to a show. Nobody told me I couldn't say it, and I didn't get in trouble.
A B. Pause! Anthony, before you keep going, we do have language barriers.
FCC.
I felt it coming. I had to shut it down. But all right, we're literally lingering on 60 seconds at this point. But would you consider yourself a radical? Okay. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So, okay, absolutely radical. And I totally agree with that because MLK tried the nonviolent approach. We see how far that got us. We're still marching today. You know what I'm saying? So you can't follow the status quo and get the results that you seek. It's just not going to happen. But we do want to thank Anthony and Brad for being on the show with us this evening.
Thank y'all.
Always a pleasure. Anthony, this was actually my first time meeting you. Hopefully we meet in person someday. Brad, is always a pleasure every time.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Even when I'm looking like a totally different person. You know.
Switch it up. Yeah. Standing right next to me. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. He says a fan of our show.
oh yeah.
Hey, no worries at all. You joined us in spirit and in voice. So we appreciate you. And we're definitely going to do this again because we didn't even scratch the surface of where we wanted to get to this evening. But thank you everyone for listening. Once again, this is WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.
Good night.
Night night.